Always a pleasure to talk to John Smoltz. There you see him, of course, up in Cooperstown not too long ago. The Hall of Famer says hello on this busy show. John, always a pleasure. Great to have you with us here. You're a sports fan. Let's start with an obvious one. Who do you like in the Super Bowl and why? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fantastic as obviously the two quarterbacks that are going at it. I know the storylines, and it's easy to get caught up in the storylines. I'm a huge Tom Brady fan, but I think Kansas City wins the game. The weather, however, is going to play a big factor into this game. Supposedly supposed to rain, but if I had to pick a team, I'd pick Kansas City.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think you're right on that. Mahomes is too good, too much offense. A little worried about those tackles, but we'll get to that maybe in the next couple days. We have some fun with Bruce's prediction here when we get to Friday. All right, let's do a couple things. First off, Bauer, are you surprised, 10, 12, 2 weeks before before spring training camps open up, he has not yet signed? What's your take on that?
No, I'm not really surprised. And it's not really so much an indictment on him as much of the circumstances that surround the game and trying to get on time. Teams are trying to figure out everything that's going on. He's a unique pitcher. He's one that I've said over time has made major adjustments. You cannot knock his durability. You might be able to say things that he does or says is a little bit different than typical, but he flies to his own, beat, and that's fine. I like a guy who believes in himself and says, I'm going to be healthy and I can pitch every 4 days. Now, I don't think anybody's going to let him do that, which, is up to the organization, but I don't see why they couldn't. And I don't see why his ability to perform, even though it hasn't been super consistent, one good year, one bad year, one good year, he has proven that he can stay healthy. And health right now is worth something. I don't know if it's worth the title of, being the highest paid pitcher in the game. I certainly don't think that'll be the case, but I cannot knock him for his ability to stay healthy and pitch deep into games. And we've seen what he can do when he's on his game.
Do you think if he goes to a team that needs an ace in a worse way that he can make the difference? I'm thinking Toronto. Or do you think he sort of blends in better as sort of a number two man over a long period of time for a good team? What's your take on that?
I think with his unique flexibility of being able to use him in some, maybe quicker spots down, I believe he could be the ace of a team. I think, his idea of pitching on 1 year contracts was nice and it was fun to say, but I think what he's looking for is somewhere that he could land for the next 4 to 5 years and be the guy. We've seen the pitching staffs he's been part of when he has an ace or two in front of him. But I think he's ready for that moment. And I wouldn't be surprised if somebody finally goes over the top and gives him how many years he's looking for to be that guy.
Kluber with the Yankees, the 1 year. Good risk or a so-so risk? What's your take there?
I think anything with the Yankees is a good risk because of their offense. They can hide a lot of weaknesses. But what's going to end up being the truest form of the Yankees championship is, do they get the benefit of him truly being healthy? They need a pitchers at the end of the year. They can get away with, guys rehabbing and getting primed and ready. Severino's huge for me. If he can get close to what he's capable of being, the Yankees are built to win offensively early, but can they win late when they need, like last year exposed it. I'm sorry. Their inability to have those guys step up in the postseason from a starting staff is why they weren't able to keep going. I mean, and Garrett Cole speaks for itself. He's a monster. They just need not even close to a Garrett Cole. They just need a C and a D. They can bypass the B pitcher. They just need somebody that can provide innings and allow their offense to do the work that basically most clubs can't do offensively.
100%. October is the key for him. Darvish and Snell, you think they both fit in beautifully with San Diego? Or is there a little adaptivity, especially for a guy like Snell, switching leagues? What's your take on the Padres' move with their staff? Let me hear.
I think the excitement of that club, the youth of that club, and what they went through, they're primed and ready. And their pitching staff is going to be able to compete with the Dodgers. Now, the biggest thing that I've learned over time is until I've watched the Pistons not be able to beat the Celtics. Then they finally got over the hump and they won a couple championships. Then the Bulls couldn't beat the Pistons. Then they got over the hump and you saw what they did. That's kind of the feeling San Diego has to get over the hump with LA. LA is the bully in the division and they have put themselves in position to go toe to toe. but it's a lot easier said than done when a team has had their stronghold on a division and are confident like the Dodgers are. So it's going to be fun to watch. San Diego's relevant. They're exciting to watch, and that's good for baseball because the West Coast is revived. It's the only sport, really, when you think about it, in San Diego, and so they're all in.
Yeah, 100%. It's a Padre town, and that's a good comparison with the Bulls, of course, with the Pistons in Detroit. Prior to that, with the Celtics, they never could beat them, and they finally did and won a championship. The Phillies bullpen, John. I mean, last year it was so bad. They've added a couple of parts to it. You know, sometimes bullpens, one year they're awful, the next year they're lights out. And so, you got to keep that in mind. It's up and down an awful lot. But their bullpen is a problem. What's your take on it right now? Where do we stand with Philadelphia? Their offense is fine. Division's better. You got to figure Nola and Wheeler at the top of the rotation. How about bullpen? Let me get your sense on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, the biggest thing is going to be patience. We know Joe Girardi likes to use his bullpen, and when it's going good, you get the pieces at the end that you can count on. And the reason I say patience is because they're going to need their starters to eat up more innings. Last year did not go well. They tried a million pieces to the bullpen, and because of the shortness of the year, it exasperated the opportunity to bring more guys in. Now you have to, in 162 games, trust your guys a little bit more. There's going to be some hiccups, but until you get a set standard of guys that know what they're going to do, when they're going to do it, the bullpen can't work fluidly. And if the starters start eating some 6 and 7 inning games, like I think they can, then that bullpen gets to a point of confidence. The Phillies are sort of like the Yankees. They're going to be able to score some runs, at least on paper they should. And it's hiding those weaknesses long term. So the patience early and not, panicking when some of the guys just don't come out of the gates right. And then let those starters eat some more innings and take the pressure off the bullpen.
You made this. I saw it the other night. You still love DeGrom as your best pitcher. I was watching, and then, of course, we talk about the Mets. Let's assume they don't get Bauer. Let's assume that right now. Do they have enough pitching with maybe Syndergaard on the horizon? Do they have enough pitching with, obviously, Carrasco, Stroman, the kid from last year who had a pretty good year, the lefty, Peterson? Do they have enough pitching to win the NL East to be a big factor without another starter? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think they do because I think their offense just got better. I think the offense has always been a little bit of an enigma when you think about the ballpark and, the struggles they had at first base last year will not be the case this year. He will be another monster hitter, and their offense is just going to allow their pitching to be as good as it needs to be. When you talk about DeGrom and the fact that this young man never gets runs, it's mind-boggling. And now he's got some help. And so the offense is going to be more consistent, and there's not going to be so much pressure on every game to be perfect. And I think that's the key when you're going to have a championship team. You got to win the 1-0 games every once in a while, but you also got to win 10-9. You got to find ways to win offensively when you don't have every outing pitched perfectly. And I think the Mets are in that position now.
That's a good point. Last thing, John, doing well as usual. Great job here. How about the White Sox? Giolito. I don't think it's good enough, but maybe you do. Keuchel and then Lynn. Rendon is a fourth starter. They added some help with their bullpen. We all know that with Hendricks. Is that enough? Is that a good enough pitching staff to be a major American League pennant possibility out of the American League Central? Is that enough pitching? What's your take on that?
I think they've set themselves up to win the division. I think they're a little bit better than the Twins. Twins are going to go neck and neck with them. I think their rotation is set up to be a little bit more consistent than the other teams in their division. Let's face it, you got to get to the playoffs and you got to win your division first. And if everybody progresses the way they think they can and the confidence of their ball club from last year's, even though they didn't win a series against move on like they wanted to, I think that gives them the confidence moving forward. Lance Lynn pitches innings. You mentioned their rotation. I think their bullpen is going to be good from the top down. And I think that's, again, every good bullpen is about the guy finishing the game. If he keeps finishing the games on a positive note, then all the guys in between, it not that it's irrelevant, it just flows better. And the last impression is always the best one. And Hendricks is going to be a weapon. Hopefully they don't have to use him a ton and he can be fresh throughout the year. But I think the White Sox are in a really, really good spot to make some noise in not only the American League, but beyond their division.
All right, back to football quickly. 56.5, over, under. Over or under? Go ahead.
Well, the easy answer would be to say take the over because no one's going to stop each other. But I think the weather is going to cause some problems. So believe it or not, I would think that the under becomes a bigger play because, in the Super Bowl, there's always those moments where you think one way and then the weather affects you, and certainly it might affect the way that the speed of which they're trying to play the game.
That's a good point. Well done. John likes the Chiefs, likes baseball, of course, as well. He says hello. John, thank you. Keep up the good work. Appreciate it today.
You got it. Thanks.